Hi everyone, John here. Just wanted to do a quick update on the Covid-19 in Melbourne, which is it's getting better. I think yesterday and the day before the numbers came down to double figures, which was good. But today I think it's back up to about 114 again. But I think it's good in one way. I mean, some people are thinking that with the cases in Melbourne, that we just want to get out of the situation that we're in, and if the numbers come down, then the problem's going away. But you know, I believe that when the cases have come down under 100, and we're all happy about it, but to me, we've just caught, I think it was about 88 yesterday or something, and so there was only 88 cases, so everyone's happy. But now there's 114 the next day. But the thing is, if we didn't catch those cases, then, and we're under 100 cases a day, say if it was only 20 or 30 new cases that we didn't catch, that's 20 or 30 new cases could turn into 1,000 cases once it's in the community, and the people are just, you know, going to shops and going to work, spreading things to work, and then we just have new clusters again, and we may be able to know where some people work, and we know where the clusters are and things like that. But if it's in the community, then we're not going to catch it. So, but anyway, today there's some good and bad as well. So I've just got to read some of this. So forgive me for reading some of it. But I'll talk about this a little bit later. But the Queensland Premier, there's a lot of people seem to think that the Queensland Premier only seems to really worry about Queensland, and I think in some of the other Covid-19 updates that she seems to just portray the Covid-19 problem as a Victorian problem, which people have probably heard me say that before. And now that the problem is starting to increase in Queensland, she seems to not really taking ownership of the problem. She just seems to just pushing it aside with different excuses and all the rest. And even their Queensland Chief Health Minister, I think she's doing exactly the same thing, and they seem to think that they're doing everything right by the community and by other borders and so on and so on. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I will say that one of the big problems was just on the top of the New South Wales border to Queensland. I think there was a lady that was pregnant having twins, and she lost one of her twins, and she didn't get an inception to, you know, just to go over the border. So the Queensland Premier is saying that, and the Health Minister, Chief Health Minister from Queensland, is saying that that's not the case. Anyone that was able, you know, to come can come if they're in a situation where, you know, a diabolical situation, they can come. And when you talk to the lady and her husband that lost the baby, that just wasn't the case. So that was pretty sad to hear that. That's why I'm saying that I think that they're sort of not really having ownership to the problems that they're having and the way they're going about it in Queensland. Whereas Daniel Andrews here, I've said before, we've had some silly people do some silly things, and it's put Melbourne back into a situation that's was worse than when it started. So, you know, Melbourne's some of the people are no angels, but 99% of the people in Melbourne are just absolutely doing a wonderful job, because yes, I come from Melbourne, but you know, facts are facts. You know, it's hard to do what we're doing here. So, and in other states as well, I think there was someone from Queensland that just decided to go over to Perth to visit some friends and have a drink. So they're waiting for test results from that. So there's a silly thing, is what I'm saying, that someone from Queensland has done. So it can happen anywhere. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, some of the the people in Sydney, some of the things that they're doing that's not quite right as well is that I think Sydney is trying to do their best in the fact that, as far as community transfer is concerned, they're trying to get people, as many people like Victoria's been doing, getting up to 20,000 people a day they're trying to do, but they're waiting, which I think happened in Victoria as well, they're waiting up to 3 days before they go and get tested. And so some of them may still be going to work. They may not be aware of the rules. I think by now they should be. At the beginning when Melbourne, I think, did the same thing, and some people said, well, we weren't really aware of the rules. We just thought that we still go to work and we just wait for the results, and if the results are not good, then we go and quarantine at home. Well, but I think this pandemic has been going on for a long time now, so I think Sydney should really know that. And apparently the infection rate in Sydney now has doubled, and also I think there was 13 new cases linked to a local cluster, but one of the problems is that it's from that cluster it's got out into the community, and since they've checked some of those people in the community, not all of them have gone back to the same cluster. So that's a big problem for Sydney. And also the government is worried about some of the 27 and 30 degrees that Sydney's been having in the last few days, which is, I understand, it's getting people that want to go out onto the beaches and all the rest, and we all know the problem that happened in Bondi Beach where the police had to close, I think back in March or May, and now there's people starting to do the same thing. So I think that's becoming a bit of a problem. Also, there's a school in Sydney that's now being closed because it's now that's another cluster, and I think the children are in quarantine again now, so they're in quarantine for 2 weeks. So I hope that doesn't go any further, and I hope everyone stays home and does the right thing. But I just want to talk about the Prime Minister in Queensland. A lot of people are saying that she lacks compassion, and I've been watching the news a fair bit, and apart from her pushing aside most of the questions from the media, she seems to almost be broken in a sense when questions are asked. Questions are directed at her, and good questions from the media, and she sort of just waves it off as everything is okay and we're doing everything great in Queensland, and she sticks to her guns as far as all the decisions that she's making. So it's like a protective front that she's coming before the media, rather than just being honest and upfront like Daniel Andrews is doing. Sometimes I think that the Queensland Premier thinks that there's only one state in Australia, and that's Queensland. And from shutting the borders, thinking that the pandemic was only Sydney and Melbourne people that had a problem, and to not letting people in that has now they've lost a baby and so on, to farmers and just normal people, people that need to work and all the rest. She won't let them cross the borders. So she's making it quite difficult. And I think Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, of course, has said that it's just starting to get ridiculous as far as Queensland's concerned. He wants to step in and try and get the states to, collectively do the right thing and open the borders and still manage the pandemic, and still do social distancing, and still let businesses open, but make sure social distancing is in place and everything is clean and tidy and everyone's happy, and it boosts the economy, and there's a lot of problems out there in the community as well with as far as mental problems for people as well. I mean, nobody needs to be isolated for this long, so when everyone's doing the right thing, it'd be nice if the states listen to the Prime Minister, and it's like the people are getting rewarded for their efforts for doing the right thing. So the other thing is that there's also in Queensland there's some new cases in in a new school, and also a childcare centre as well. So I think same thing. I think that childcare centre has been closed down, and they're all in quarantine as well. So hopefully that hasn't spread out to the community as well, because like I've said before, the problem is that when you know that you have a cluster, and if you close it down and you quarantine everyone, then that's not so bad, because after 2 weeks, as they say, all the symptoms and everything should be okay, everything should go away, providing that people don't get really sick. But the problem is that when the people don't do the right things, some of the people, not all of them, and they go into the community, well then no government can really track where that comes from. And I think also this might be some of the reasons sometimes as well with when people are going and not doing the right thing even now, and we get cases like in Melbourne that go down, and then we're all happy and we think that we're getting on top of things. Well, we are, but the police and the government, they can't stop everyone that just wants to go and break the rules. But the problem is that when they do, it's in the community again. So then when you get the good people that come forward and get tested, because they think that they've got the flu or cold symptom, or they're not sure if it could be the virus, and they come forward and they get tested and they get positive, so then the numbers go up again. So that's a good thing. The problem is also that we're having, I think in Dandenong, where people, I understand that they've had enough, but it's just the same as the protesters as well. Black Lives Matters, I mean, that's a great issue to fight for, absolutely. And the frustration of people like in Dandenong, for example, I understand that as well. But the thing is, everybody is in the same situation, and when the Premier is telling everybody that he understands everybody's frustration, even the Premier has his own frustration. He only does his work and then he's got to go home as well, the same as anybody else. So when you go out and you don't wear your masks and you just go within the community and you go about your daily life as though there's no virus around, then everyone is going to stay in quarantine, or not quarantine, but everyone's going to stay in lockdown for more than 6 weeks. And even at the end of this 6 weeks, when we're in stage 4, it'll only go down to stage 3 anyway. So things will still be pretty much the same. It's just that they might up their numbers of how many people you can visit. Maybe you can visit your children again or something like that. So maybe you can, the shops open again, and which is a great thing. So, but not a lot really. The life that we've had before is still not going to be the same, and I don't think it's going to be the same for a long time. So, and like I've said before, as far as travel's concerned, anyone that wants to come to Australia, it's not going to happen. Anyone that wants to go out of Australia, it's not going to happen. And I think I've said before, anyone else that's new, that's listening to this video, that I think that even when it comes to Christmas time, even if there's some countries that Australia has a bubble with, a travel bubble, which is great, I still think that it'll include a 2-week quarantine. When you get to the country, get to the destination, and when you come back. So I don't think many people can afford to do that, and even if you can, it's not really a holiday. And I think there's some countries where they're just offering guided tours for people, so it's not really a freedom holiday that people normally want to go and do their own thing. Normally I think it's just after you quarantine in some countries, they offer some guided tours of, but who wants to do that? So, but anyway, I think we've got another 2.5 weeks to go or something, but hopefully the figures will stay in double figures, and which means that it's good, and then I think if the Prime Minister gets together with all the state leaders and we just come up with a plan to maybe eventually open borders sooner than later, and and also everyone keeps their social distance. Businesses can open again. The economy is opened up again, and things can ease, and takes the pressure off a lot of people not doing everything from day to day, because it's I've got to do the same thing, so it's really hard. So whether you go to work, which is a good thing, keeps your mind occupied, but when you come home, you have to stay home. And there's also a curfew from 8 o'clock to 5 in the morning. So look, everyone out there, just please do the right thing, and everyone please stay safe. And the most important thing is to subscribe to my channel. Anyway, I wish everyone a safe day. Okay, thank you for listening to me. Bye bye.